कानाला फोन करता कोणी? दोन मिनिट, तुम्हाला फॉर्म देतो या इकडे. हो, साइन तर घेतली आहे सर. आपका पेन ड्राइव मैं ये कर लेता हूँ सर. कॉपी कर लो.
मैं आपको सेंड कर देता हूँ.
सेंड कर, पीडीएफ कर देंगे. चलिए.
थैंक यू. स्मार्ट टेलीविजन. हाँ, स्मार्ट टेलीविजन. किती काय स्मार्ट टेलीविजन.
डॉक्युमेंट्स पाठवले का तुम्ही? चालेल, ठीक आहे.
किती काय जस्ट
So, in the case introduce Professor Ritesh Pandey. I'll give a brief introduction of them. Professor Ritesh Pandey is a professor at the Department of Gastronomics at Vegetation Dental College and Research Center, Nagpur, with over 19 years of academic and clinical experience. She has an extensive academic portfolio with HNDs of 10 and over 50 publications in various national and international journals, along with patents, copyrights, multiple systemic reviews, and book chapters. Dr. Deshpande has presented multiple scientific papers and posters at national and international conferences and has delivered 50 plus guest lectures. She is a recipient of 20 plus awards and recognitions, including the Best Product Design Award at IIT Bombay's eMedha Medical Device Hackathon and Innovation Award at national platforms. She is currently serves as the editor-in-chief of Journal of Advances in Dental Practice and Research and has contributed significantly to curriculum development and academic leadership at institutional and national level. I kindly request Dr. Karuhan to welcome the Saidesh Pandya.
Thank you, madam. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you. ठीक है हे चालू आहे का हॅलो अच्छा हा रेकॉर्डिंग ओके आणि स्लाइड चेंजर हे आहे ना सो गुड आफ्टरनून एव्हरीवन सगळे कंटाळले आहेत का कंपल्सरी आहे सो यू हॅव टू बेअर विथ इट बट व्हॉट इज युअर ओपिनियन काही फायदा होतो आहे यू आर गेटिंग टू नो फ्यू थिंग्स प्रॉबेबली यू कॅन डू बेटर इफ यू अटेंड दिस वर्कशॉप है ना सगळ्यांच्या सिनॉप्सिस मध्ये थिसिस मध्ये सगळ्याच गोष्टींमध्ये फायदा होणार आहे ओके सो द नेक्स्ट सेशन इज ऑन क्वेश्चनर डिझायनिंग किती लोकांनी क्वेश्चनर फिलअप केली आहे कोणा दुसऱ्याच्या रिसर्चची किंवा स्वतःची क्वेश्चनर बनवून रिसर्च केला असं आहे का कोणी क्वेश्चनर येतात ना हे गुगल फॉर्म फिलअप करा आमचा हा रिसर्च आहे तुम्ही पाठवा भरून येतात का असे आलेले आहेत पाठवले का तुम्ही भरून नाही ओके सो ऑल ऑफ यू आर अवेअर ऑफ सच क्वेश्चनर ॲज अ टूल ऑफ डेटा कलेक्शन है ना पाहिलेलं आहे काही नवीन नाही त्यात नाउ व्हॉट इज डेटा कलेक्शन अँड व्हॉट आर डिफरंट टूल्स कॅन वी डिस्कस फॉर 2-3 मिनिट्स डेटा कलेक्शनचे टूल्स it will depend upon the study design correct so for example it is a descriptive study so in descriptive study what all we are collecting the socio-demographic details okay we are collecting certain data and there is no comparison it is just one group and you are collecting information relevant to your thesis topic or research topic then comes the experimental study now for experimental study what all is required suppose you are testing any drug or new treatment so you will need patient case record forms you will need the laboratory test reports right this is also data right so that is also a data collection tool but for example you are collecting some information regarding the feedback suppose this is a basic research methodology workshop you are taking a feedback of participants then you will use a questionnaire will you use a questionnaire in such case feedback survey basically kadi satisfaction survey feedback survey knowledge attitude practices survey याच्यासाठी questionnaire वापरली जाते ठीक आहे but questionnaire is not the only tool there are other tools also like we discussed just now patient case record form right yeah so laboratory reports these are also data collection tools so there can be different data collection tool one of them is questionnaire now the most important question is that considering your research question which type of considering your research question, is the questionnaire right tool? Now suppose, like I mentioned, I am doing one randomized control trial and I am just using a questionnaire. Will it be sufficient? No, because for a drug trial, you will also need to prove the efficacy of the drug. Only by questionnaire, it may not be possible. You may need to show some lab test. For example, it is an anti-diabetic drug. You will have to show the effect by some fasting, post-meal blood sugar measurements or HbA1c, not only questionnaire. Okay, so questionnaire, whenever you think that it may be useful, just ask this question whether it will serve your objectives. Okay, and if the answer is yes, you proceed with this questionnaire. So typically, questionnaire is used in this situation. When you are checking knowledge, behavior, attitude, preferences, opinions, intentions, satisfaction, and needs of a relatively large number of people at once. Right? So all of you must have noticed that this is all a qualitative data. It's not a quantitative data as per, the differentiation you must have seen, quantitative data, qualitative data. So typically these are all attributes that are qualitative in nature. Okay? So there is a very low cost of this design and that is why it is very commonly used. It will allow the researcher to gather the data. Now why do you want this data? Because you want to see what are the trends prevalent in the particular population. You want to check whether a particular program or a healthcare intervention is working or not. Let us say, for example, tobacco cessation program at our college, and we have implemented it is acceptable. So what we will do is circulate a questionnaire about the feedback. Okay, so in such cases, questionnaires are very useful. Now there are two types of questionnaires. One which has already been validated and used and it is published in the literature. Okay, of your particular topic. So you go and search the literature and you find that someone has already used it. That is called a pre-validated questionnaire. Or if there is no such questionnaire available, there is not validated means not even developed. So you have to develop it from the scratch. So we will see everything in detail. But the first question is whether you have a pre-validated questionnaire or not. That will be answered by literature search. ठीक है, literature search मध्ये जर भेटली questionnaire तर ती तशीच्या तशी you can adapt in your study, but you have to give the credit to the person who has developed it. Right now, depending upon the administration, it can be a face-to-face questionnaire. I'm sitting here and asking you questions and filling it up. This is interviewer administered. Or I can just give you a link and you do it on your own, and that is self-completed. Okay, self-administered. Okay, so the interviewer is not present, the participant is filling on their own. Then based on the objective of the questionnaire, some questionnaires are exploratory in nature and they will have more open-ended questions. On the other hand, some questionnaires are formally constructed. There are few questions, very few options there, and then you have to complete the questionnaire. They are not exploratory in nature. They are formal standardized questionnaires. Okay, this is just a way of classification. We'll see one by one in detail. Now, based on the structure of the question, open-ended question example hai, write in your own words and some features of this particular workshop, and there is a space given there. Okay, there are no options. It is just an empty space and you can write down in your own words. So that is an open-ended question. All of you agree? Then there is a close-ended question which has options and you have to select only from those options. This is a close-ended question. Okay, or there can be both questions in the questionnaire, and that is a mixed questionnaire or semi-structured questionnaire. Now, types of questions. The dichotomous question, which has only two answers possible: yes, no, male, female, right? or there can be multiple choice questions in which you can have single best response, you can have multiple response format. So likewise, okay. Now there can be a rating question. You must have seen this rating question: strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. There is a rating scale. Okay, that is called as a Likert scale. असे पण questions असू शकतात. Okay. Now what are the qualities of a good questionnaire? It should be valid. Now we'll learn about validity and reliability a little bit. Are you aware of the term validity? Yes. What is validity and what is reliability? Suppose I'm weighing myself on a weighing machine and my weight is 69 kgs. Let us say example, and I'm standing on the weighing machine. It is showing the accurate weight 69 kilo. That means it is a valid measurement, right? It is measuring what it is supposed to measure in an accurate way. But at the same time, in the morning it shows 69, in the evening it shows 71, in the afternoon it shows 80. That means sometimes it is valid, but it is consistently not reliable. Reliability is reproducibility irrespective of the time or the observer. ठीक है, repeatability जो है ना उसको reliability बोलेंगे और accuracy को validity बोलेंगे. So the questionnaire, how it should be? It should be both valid as well as reliable. म्हणजे काय की समजा मला काही रिसर्च क्वेश्चन आहे माझ्या मनात, मी त्याच्यासाठी ती क्वेश्चनर बनवली, तर त्याच्यातून येणारे जे रिस्पॉन्सेस आहेत, those responses should be able to answer your research question. It should not happen that you are collecting irrelevant data. So the questionnaire is valid when it is serving the purpose of your research question. Okay? Validity. Reliability, suppose I administer the questionnaire and she administers and there are differences in the answers. That means it is not reliable. Or let us say some group of persons are responding differently, some are responding differently. That means also it is not reliable. Okay? Reliability means same type of answers are there irrespective of the interviewer, irrespective of the population. There is no confusion about the meaning of the question. Answers will be different, obviously, depending on the participant, but interpretation of the question remains the same. There is no confusion. So that is your reliability. Then it should be interesting and it should be short or brief or succinct. It should be brief. खूप लांब लचक questionnaire दिले, obviously your response rate will drop down. People will get bored of answering those questions. Okay. Now coming to the structure. आतापर्यंत काय काय पाहिलं आपण? क्वेश्चनर म्हणजे काय, कधी कधी वापरायची आणि त्याचे डिफरंट टाइप्स ऑफ क्वेश्चन्स. ठीक आहे. आता बघू आपण त्या क्वेश्चनर मध्ये काय पाहिजे. ठीक आहे. सो त्याचे 4 पार्ट्स आहेत. 4 पार्ट मध्ये पहिला पार्ट आहे इंट्रोडक्शन, मग आहे इन्स्ट्रक्शन्स, मग आहे क्वेश्चन्स आणि मग आहे क्लोजिंग. ठीक आहे. सो इंट्रोडक्शन जे आहे त्या इंट्रोडक्शनची काय गरज आहे आता इथे? एनीबडी? व्हॉट इज इंट्रोडक्शन ॲज अँड व्हाय इट इज रिक्वायर्ड? यू आर ॲडमिनिस्ट्रिंग अ क्वेश्चनर, क्वेश्चन्स पाहिजे, इंट्रोडक्शन कशाला पाहिजे? हा, व्हेरी गुड. So to whom you are asking the questions, they should know why you want that answers from the participants and where are you going to use this data in today's time. Data privacy is a big thing, no? So suppose there is a sensitive data about some alcohol consumption, tobacco consumption, certain other things. It should, and you go ahead and make it public, suppose tomorrow. So that is not correct. So what you should mention? Your name, your research title, why you are doing this, and you have to request them for their response. Okay, so this is introduction. After that, in introduction itself, you have to assure about 3 things: anonymity, confidentiality, and right for non-participation. Anonymity means you know that you will not reveal the name of the respondent. Confidentiality, the data inside the questionnaire to some third party without agreement. Right not to respond to any question means they can choose which question to respond to and which question to avoid. Okay, so this is introduction. After that, there are instructions. What are instructions? All of you have solved NEET question paper or any entrance paper. So what are instructions? Such a big list of instruction is there. Ballpoint pen वापरा, मग circle करा, मग असं नका करू, मग तसं करा. असतं ना सगळं, roll number लिहा. So those are instructions. Why we need instructions in a questionnaire? जसं की काही क्वेश्चन रिस्पॉन्स फॉर्मॅट विल हॅव क्रॉस, काही विल हॅव टिक, काही विल हॅव सर्कल. सो दे विल गेट कन्फ्यूज की व्हॉट टू यूज, है ना. वी विल सी दोज फॉर्मॅट. सो दे हॅव टू फॉलो द क्वेश्चन फॉर्मॅट अँड आन्सर अप्रोप्रिएटली. ठीक आहे. अँड व्हॉट इज क्लोजिंग? 3 parts we have seen. First is introduction, instructions, then the questions per se we have seen the classification, and closing. Closing मध्ये you have to thank the participant for their time, and in case of any questions you have to mention your own email ID on which they can send their queries. Now coming to order of questions. So for example, my study has 25 questions. Okay? So how should I order them in sequence? So first should be the demographic details, means age, gender, education, occupation, ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी, साधा address. These are demographic details. That should be followed by simple questions, easy to answer. Okay? And then there should be questions that are the main questions for your study objectives, those who are fulfilling your study objective, main questions. And then last should be the sensitive questions or controversial questions. What are those? Example, like I said, alcohol consumption, tobacco consumption, or socio-economically, if you want to ask certain practices for sexually transmitted diseases, you want to ask about certain things which are extremely sensitive. So those should be at the end. Okay, so this should be the order of the question. This we have seen. Closing statement. Layout and design, it has to be aesthetically pleasing. Earlier it used to be a printed questionnaire, but now it is a Google form. So in Google form, it is already, the settings are such that it is aesthetically pleasing, good font size and all. So this you need not be worried about. Now let us come to the main question, that if you don't have any questionnaire in the literature, how to go about development of a new questionnaire and how to validate it. Okay? In very short, we will see. So the most important is you have to see a pre-validated questionnaire. If it is there, nothing like it, you can adopt. Now there can be other scenario that it is in English and you want in Hindi. असं पण होऊ शकतं की there is a language difference. So what you can do? You can translate. You can translate, but after translation you have to again validate. So how do you validate a translated questionnaire? Suppose in English I have translated to Marathi. So how should I go about the validation? There is something called as back translation. First step will be back translation. That means the questionnaire which has been translated to Marathi has to be retranslated into English by someone else, and you have to check whether it is coinciding with the original questionnaire. That will indicate that it is a proper translation. Okay, that is one. Second, you have to go for a language expert and take the opinion. Third, you have to pilot test it. You have to give it to 5-10 participants, 5-10% of the minister, and see if they can understand the language the way you want it to be. Okay, so this is about translation. Now suppose even translated is also not an option, then you have to develop it from the scratch. Okay, so how do you go about development from a scratch? You have seen 4 portions of the questionnaire: introduction, instructions, questions and closing. So introduction, instructions लिहायला easy आहे. Questions कसे develop करायचे? Anybody? How to develop good questions? How will you decide? So you have to formulate an expert committee. 4 or 5 members of your own department or your specialty. Sit together, do a proper literature search, develop a draft, and then take the opinion of your 4-5 of the experts. Then revise. Then you have to again pilot test, take the answers, revise again, and then you have to use it. Okay. So I will, in the end, I will cover the statistics also. There are 2 statistics you need to calculate. We will cover it in the end. Okay. Those are called as Kappa statistics. That means inter-observer agreement. Okay. And Pearson's correlation coefficient. So Pearson's correlation coefficient is inter-observer agreement, and Kappa statistics is internal coherence. That means your question should be related to each, should not appear out of place. So internal consistency is calculated by Kappa statistics, and reliability is calculated by Pearson's correlation. So this you have to do, only then you can call your questionnaire as a validated questionnaire. Okay. Now you please remember that if you are developing a questionnaire, then you can have 2 publications from that. First publication is that questionnaire itself deserves a publication, a questionnaire to check so and so, because it involves development as well as validation. The second part will be the study that you will do using questionnaire. Okay, so that is part 1 and part 2. So you will be assured that if you take so much of efforts, please make sure go ahead and publish and take the credit of it. Okay. So now coming to some do's and don'ts. So what are the do's and don'ts about different questions? First is your type of question. Now suppose this is an example of a filter question. Now what is a filter question? That if you have, if your answer for first question is yes, only then the second question is asked. Like for example, after getting married, have you ever been told you have high BP? Yes and no. If yes, then the next question. This is an example of a filter questions. What will this question do? Filtering. Suppose it will save the time of people who are not applicable. Okay, they can skip detailed question. So filter questions just to improve the succinctness or briefness of your questionnaire. Then about clarity. These are the common mistakes that we observe. So clarity. Now you see this example. How much do you exercise? How much do you exercise? Different people will answer. Some people will think per day. Some may think per week. Some may think per month or per year. They will answer differently. For some people, getting up and walking is also an exercise. Some people going to gym is exercise. So specific thing you have to ask. Like here we can correct the questions. During a week, how many hours do you spend for exercise? And in the bracket you can mention brisk walking or sports. Okay, so clarity has to be there. Third most important thing is simplicity. What is simplicity? You do not use words which are unnecessarily long. They say drugs to buy without doctor's prescription. Instead of this, you can write down just over-the-counter drugs. Okay? So it has to be simple. Now, very, very important, neutrality. Neutrality means during the last month, how often you have drunk too much of alcohol. Suppose I go ahead and ask this question. Okay, just see the example. की किती वेळा टू मच अल्कोहोल घेतलाय असं जर कोणाला विचारलं तर कोण म्हणेल का हो म्हणून सगळे नाही म्हणते. बरोबर आहे. बट आपल्याला डेटा हवा आहे, ऑथेंटिक डेटा. मग आपण कसं करायचं? रिवर्ट करायचं त्या क्वेश्चनला. कसं करायचं? ड्युरिंग द लास्ट मंथ हाऊ ऑफन डिड यू ड्रिंक मोर दॅन 5 ड्रिंक्स इन अ डे. नाउ यू सी द डिफरन्स इन द टोन. Have you seen the difference in the tone of the language? If you call it too much, the person will get defensive. But if you reword it with a neutral tone, you may get valid responses. Okay. Now another mistake is double negatives. What are double negatives? Let us see the example. Is there never a valid reason for not giving up smoking? Okay, there are 2 negatives. One is never, the other is not. So it is negating and the language is not correct. So how can you replace it? Is there a valid reason for not giving up smoking? So avoid such errors. Then avoid leading questions. Like suppose I say, wouldn't you say that? Isn't it fair? Like this I start. So what I can expect? The respondent will think, yes, that I will answer like this. So don't use such leading phrases. After that, what you have to do? Avoid ambiguity. What is ambiguity? Ambiguity, double meaning or unclear sentences. Now, can you read this? Last bench, last. Can you read the example about ambiguity? Please read the example. If the man plays tennis, all of you can see that. If the man plays tennis and he is the regional champion with his brother, if the man plays tennis with his brother and he is the regional champion, is he likely to win? What is the problem with this sentence? Last bench. कोण चॅम्पियन आहे कळत नाहीये, ब्रदर आहे की तो माणूस आहे, है ना? सो you have to avoid such ambiguous questions. Now double barrel questions. So double barrel question means, suppose I ask you that how many cups of tea or coffee you drink every day. Nothing wrong in this, but suppose I drink 2 cups of tea and 3 cups of coffee every day, I will write 5. But your research question may be about caffeine intake. Tea has more caffeine or coffee has more caffeine, and I give you an answer, and probably you want to distinguish between tea and coffee as your research question, and you have asked together. So you have to avoid this by asking 2 different questions: how many cups of tea, how many cups of coffee. Okay, so this is double barrel question. And then again, avoid jargon. Jargon means you are now healthcare workers. For you, it is easy to understand the colloquial terms, also the subject words. But for the normal public, it is not. So you have to avoid the jargon. Okay. Okay. Now, very, very interesting example. And after this example, I will ask you a group activity on basis of this example. So please read this example thoroughly, all of you. तुम्हाला बनवायचा आहे क्वेश्चन याच्यानंतर. आता इथे लक्ष द्या, काय झालेलं आहे? एनीबडी कॅन टेल मी? मी असं डायरेक्टली येऊन विचारलं की हाऊ मेनी टाइम्स यू हॅव ब्रोकन द स्पीड लिमिट, तो शी विल से नेवर, कधीच नाही, राईट? नाउ आय आस्क इन अ व्हेरी डिफरंट टोन, लिटल casual tone. I ask, have you felt under pressure to break the speed limit sometimes because you have some appointment? See my change in my tone. So she might understand that I am asking genuinely. She might report some authentic response. याच्यापेक्षा इम्प्रूव्ह कसं करू शकता? लास्ट, हाऊ मेनी टाइम्स यू हॅव प्रायोरिटाइज द अपॉइंटमेंट ओव्हर द स्पीड लिमिट. म्हणजे गेली ती स्पीड लिमिट खड्ड्यात, मला माझी अपॉइंटमेंट महत्वाची आहे. सो व्हॉट आय हॅव डन, आय हॅव लिगलाइज्ड ब्रेकिंग द स्पीड लिमिट इन अ वे. ओके, ऑथेंटिकेट. चला ठीक आहे. द वे यू वर्ड युअर क्वेश्चन विल डिसाइड युअर रिस्पॉन्सेस. याच्यामध्ये जो थ्रेटनिंग टोन होता पहिले, have you broken the speed limit, it is slightly threatening, intimidating to the respondent. बापरे, यांना खरं सांगितलं तर डाटा जाऊन आपल्याला अरेस्ट तर नाही होणार असं वाटू शकतं ना. सो यू नीड टू बी व्हेरी केअरफुल, बिकॉज व्हॉट इज युअर एम, यू वॉन्ट गुड रिस्पॉन्स. दॅट इज वाय. आता तुमचं आहे आता टर्न. ठीक आहे. नाउ फॉर एक्झाम्पल, यू वॉन्ट टू चेक about different copying practices in university. युनिव्हर्सिटी एक्झाम मध्ये मुलं कॉपी करतात, पकडले जातात, काही काही नाही जात. तुम्हाला एक सर्वे घ्यायचा आहे की सपोज हजारो मुलं जी परीक्षा देतात त्याच्यामधले किती मुलं कॉपी करतात. एक प्रश्न विचारायचा तुम्हाला. कसे विचाराल? समजा मी विचारला हाऊ मेनी टाइम्स यू हॅव कॉपीड इन द युनिव्हर्सिटी एक्झाम. व्हॉट शी विल आन्सर? 0. Everyone will say never. But you want authentic data. So now tell me how you will revert. Have you ever felt that exam was so difficult that you need to copy? Correct. Anyone else? Anyone else? She has suggested that she will ask that have you ever felt the exam questions are so difficult that you need to copy? Anyone else? So, was there an incident that you were not prepared and you felt like अजून सगळ्यात बेस्ट ज्याच्यात त्याला काही वाटणार नाही आणि तो बरोबर आन्सर दे. सगळ्यात बेस्ट केव्हा असतं? जेव्हा त्याच्यात आपण इन्व्हॉल्व नसतो. सगळ्यात बेस्ट जेव्हा दुसऱ्याबद्दल विचारलं. तर मग आपण काय विचारू शकतो? सिनॅरिओ बेस्ड क्वेश्चन. There are two students, Ramesh and Suresh. Suresh fell sick 1 week before exam and now he doesn't know. Should he see the answer book of Ramesh? म्हणजे सिनॅरिओ आहे ना, त्याच्यात मी नाहीच आहे कुठे, माझा संबंधच नाही आहे, मला सिनॅरिओ विचारलाय. सो आय विल आन्सर द वे आय आन्सर इज माय थिंकिंग. Understood? All of you have understood? Or else what you can ask? It has been observed that 90% of the students copy in the university exam. पहिलेच माफ. मग have you been one of them? Sometimes. Never त्याची स्केल द्यायची. Never scale of 1 to 10. ठीक है? Do you get? The idea is that the way you will ask your questions will decide your success of the questionnaire. ठीक है? Okay. So now 2-3 more things आपल्याला exercise करायचा आहे. Good and bad questionnaire. So I will be discussing few more. Suppose you are mentioning a range. Range has to be mutually exclusive, like 0 to 5, 6 to 10. Never ever do a overlap. That is 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15. Okay, mutually exclusive. And if you have a difficult or embarrassing question, you have to provide a transition word. I will tell you what it is. Okay. Now there are different types of scales. We will see one scale in detail, and that is a Likert scale. And this Likert scale was developed by a psychologist named Rene Likert. Okay. So this is the Likert scale. It is a 5-point Likert scale. There can be 7-point Likert scale also, but most commonly 5-point Likert scale is used, followed by a numerical rating scale. Okay. All of you can see 0 to 10 numerical rating scale. Then is visual analog scale. आता मी जे इनिशियली तुम्हाला म्हणलं होतं की इन्स्ट्रक्शन्स लिहायचे आहेत ते कशासाठी, कारण इथे जी व्हिज्युअल अॅनालॉग स्केल आहे तिथे तुम्हाला क्रॉस करायचं आहे जिथे तुमचं पेन आहे. समजा जर हे आहे तर टिक करायचंय. समजा अशा टाईपचा क्वेश्चन आहे चाइल्ड फ्रेंडली, तर तुम्हाला अगेन that child will indicate and you have to fill up. So responses, how to do it differs. So that is why you have to be very clear about your. Now this is, I think we have seen piloting. Okay. So do's and don'ts झाले आपले, बरोबर? त्याच्यानंतर आपल्याला पायलटिंग बद्दल बघायचंय. पायलट टेस्टिंग आपण आधी डिस्कस केलं. जर नवीन क्वेश्चन असेल तर किंवा ट्रान्सलेटेड क्वेश्चन असेल तर तुम्हाला पायलटिंग करायचं आहे आणि चेक करायचं आहे की बरोबर समजतंय की नाही समजत. पायलटिंग इन 5 to 10% of the final sample size. That means if your sample size is 100, you take 10 people and then pilot test amongst them. ठीक है? Online platforms are there, which is most commonly is Google Forms nowadays. And very important, I will stress again that there are ethical considerations, anonymity, confidentiality, and right for withdrawal has to be maintained. Misleading questions, no incentives, and no to the participants. Okay? Right. So now we will see one example. This is a good questionnaire example. Now you can see this questionnaire starts with the title of the project, followed by investigators, prime principal and co-investigator. If there is a funding agency, you have to mention, followed by aims and method of your research, followed by a detailed description about participation. Okay? Please read this. Being a part of this study is completely voluntary. You are requested to read the information sheet carefully. All this is mentioned and I will share this with you. You can read it, but this is how it should be, very systematic. Okay? Then there should be an informed consent that I have read and understood the participant information sheet completely and I give my consent to participate. Also, data sharing policy has been according to, I give the consent and I will not object. हे सगळं इथे पाहिजे because otherwise you may land up in certain legal issues. Okay? Now you can see the actual questionnaire now starts. This is your section 1 demographic data. Okay? Followed by this next question, which are the questions. Okay? Questions and the rating scale. Description is already there. Okay? They have to mark. So this was about the questionnaire. Any doubt about this? Anything you want to ask? Questionnaire, त्याचे टाइप्स, त्याचं लेआउट, त्याचं सगळं पायलटिंग, व्हॅलिडेशन समजलंय सगळ्यांना? मी एक बॅड क्वेश्चनेअर दाखवेल, त्याच्यातले तुम्ही जे रॉंग आयटम्स आहेत ते मला करून दाखवा. ठीक आहे? Okay. So please check this and tell me one by one. आपण पार्ट्स पाहिलेत, क्वेश्चनेअरचे 4 पार्ट्स आहेत. ते डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन्स वर नका जाऊ. पहिले पार्ट बघा बरोबर आहे का. मी आयडियल क्वेश्चनेअर दाखवलाय ना. हा, इंट्रोडक्शन इज कम्प्लिटली मिसिंग. No title, no investigator mention, nothing. It is abruptly starting with questions. Then instructions are also missing. Now come to questions. Questions मधल्या चुका सांगा पटपट. First question. ABCD लिहिलंच नाही ना. हा, त्याच्यानंतर 10 to 15 लिहिलंय. असं होतं ऍक्च्युली, वी टेक इट फॉर ग्रँटेड. सो म्हणूनच ते आपण ही ऍक्टिव्हिटी ठेवली आहे. सो इट इज नॉट इन द डिसेंडिंग ऑर्डर और असेंडिंग ऑर्डर. इट इज ऑल मिक्स है ना. एज जी. ओके, दिस शुड बी फर्स्ट. ठीक है. Okay, so it should be 5 to 10 years, 11 to 20, like that. It should be in some order, either ascending or descending. ठीक है? ठीक है, ठीक है. Okay, let it be. Second question. Now, whenever there is a dichotomous question, yes and no, there are very few situations in which you should use a dichotomous answer. For example, male or female. Even now that male, female also you have an option of other. ठीक है? So dichotomous answer नहीं द्यायचे. इथे काय विचारलंय? Do you prefer a provisional restoration? It's a dental example. But suppose there is a clinician and there are various patients. Yes and no नाही होऊ शकत. Sometimes depends on clinical case. हे पण answer असू शकतं. So don't divide everything in black and white. Give range of options or just give that, mention if there any other and blank space. They can mention in their own words. Third question. Okay, there is open-ended question just in the middle of it. So there are close-ended questions. Open should be in the last. so that the chain of the thought is not broken. ठीक है? Next. बरोबर बरोबर. अजून आपण जार्गन बद्दल बोललो होतो, शॉर्ट फॉर्म दिलेले आहेत तिथे, ते प्रत्येकाला त्याचं इंटरप्रिटेशन बरोबर होईल की नाही. सो अवॉइड द शॉर्ट फॉर्म्स. करेक्ट. सो यू हॅव टू मेन्शन द फुल नेम ऑफ द मटेरियल इवन इफ इट इज नोन बाय एव्हरीवन. स्टिल अवॉइड दॅट. नेक्स्ट. लास्ट क्वेश्चन. इफ यू कॅन डू द लास्ट क्वेश्चन आय विल रियली अप्रिशिएट. Sorry, question number 5, not 6. Question number 5. What is your average OPD? तो वाला question. Quite a lot, average, not much. अजून आपण 2 एक्झाम्पल पाहिले ना सेन्सिटिव्ह क्वेश्चनचे. कोणते पाहिले? कॉपी करता का? आणखी कोणता पाहिला? स्पीड लिमिटचा. हा पण तसाच क्वेश्चन आहे. तुम्ही मला येऊन विचाराल मॅडम तुमची ओपीडी किती आहे? मी सांगणार आहे का मला कोणी पेशंट येत नाही दिवसभरात? मी तर सांगेल ना चांगली आहे. मग माझ्यासाठी चांगली तुमच्यासाठी चांगलीची डेफिनेशन वेगळी राहू शकते. हाऊ मेनी पेशंट्स इन अ न्यूमेरिकल फॉर्मॅट. बिकॉज दिस इज अप टू इंटरप्रिटेशन. फॉर मी 2 पेशंट्स आर क्वाइट अ लॉट. फॉर यू 2 पेशंट क्वाइट अ लॉट म्हणजे 200 पेशंट्स असं पण असू शकतं ना. सो यू हॅव टू मेन्शन क्वांटिटी. नेक्स्ट. ओके, आय थिंक वी हॅव प्रिटी मच कवर्ड एव्हरीथिंग अँड वी कॅन गो टू द नेक्स्ट सेशन. हॅव यू अंडरस्टूड? ओके, एनी क्वेश्चन्स? Then we'll go to the diagnostic test. Now I'll just show you one SOP that we have in our college. I will share it with madam. So there is a SOP. SOP means standard operating procedure. ठीक आहे? तर SOP आहे आमच्याकडे. तर याच्यामध्ये नव्हतं. ठीक आहे. जर का व्हॅलिडेटेड क्वेश्चनेअर फॉर रिसर्च आहे ऑलरेडी लिटरेचर मध्ये आणि त्याच्यात तुम्ही काहीच मॉडिफिकेशन नाही करत आहे, देन यू नीड नॉट अप्लाय फॉर व्हॅलिडेशन. If you have a validated questionnaire from literature but you want minor modifications, then what do? You have to do some face validation. Okay? If you are having language translation, then you need both face and content validation. I will share a very good article on what is face validation, content validation and everything. But just remember this flow chart. Okay? So you have a validated questionnaire without any change you are using it, you don't have to go for any validation. Okay? Minor modification, face validation, language translation, face and content validation. But you have developed a new questionnaire, entirely new, then you have to go for these two. You have to take participant feedback and go for face validation, and you also have to go and do the content validation. Okay? So this is a very elaborate exercise. This is relatively simple. I will also share this entire SOP with you so that even if you can see, this is the proper format in which there are also checklist and everything, all data is available. I'll share with her and you can use as and when it is required. Okay? So next. Diagnostic test. Okay, so up till now what we have discussed is all the types of study, descriptive, analytical, experimental. ठीक आहे? सो याच्यामध्ये काय आहे, बेसिकली एक डिसीज असतो, एक रिस्क फॅक्टर असतो, किंवा एक डिसीज आहे आणि त्याची ट्रीटमेंट आहे. या सगळ्या भोवती सगळे डिझाईन्स होते. बरोबर आहे की नाही? तर हा जो डिसीज आहे, हा डिसीजला डिसीज डायग्नोज कसं करतो आपण? हाऊ इज डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट बाहेरच्या फोल्डर. So there is something called as a diagnostic test. TB ला TB कसं म्हणतो आपण? We have a chest X-ray, we have Montague's test, है ना? Then only we can define that this fellow or person has a tuberculosis infection. Or if there is a diabetes, how do you diagnose diabetes? You have fasting post meal, then you have HbA1c, एवढं सगळं प्लस क्लिनिकल साइन सिम्पटम्स असतात, बरोबर आहे ना? एवढं सगळं करून मग तुम्ही एका कन्क्लुजन वर येता, बरोबर आहे? कोणी दिले हे सगळे कट ऑफ व्हॅल्यूज असतात, त्याचे किती असतात? फास्ट शुगर शुड बी बिलो 100, पोस्ट मील शुड बी बिलो 140, HbA1c शुड बी बिलो 6.2, फ्रॉम 5.8 to 6.2 इज प्री डायबेटिक, आणि त्याच्यावरती मग डायबिटीज. कोणी दिले हे सगळे? These are the guidelines given by proper associations. Sometimes it is American Heart Association, sometimes it is some European association, but it is an authentic cutoff given by some reputed organization, healthcare organization. Correct? Now, what is the problem with this? You may come up with certain new diagnostic modality. Now, we are not talking about disease or risk factor. We are not talking about disease and treatment. We are talking about disease and diagnosing the disease itself. ठीक आहे? हा एक सेशन थोडा वेगळा आहे. समजा तुमच्यापैकी कोणी एखादी डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्टच डेव्हलप केली नवीन, असं खूप रेअरली होतं आणि खूप कमी वेळा होतं, पण समजा झालं तर तुम्हाला माहिती पाहिजे म्हणून छोटासा सेशन आहे. ठीक आहे? नाउ सपोज यू वॉन्ट टू डेव्हलप अ डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट. Give me any example. We'll discuss. समजा उद्या तुम्हाला नॉन इन्व्हेसिव्ह टेस्ट, ब्लड सॅम्पल घ्यावं लागतं डायबिटीस साठी. मला एखादा नॉन इन्व्हेसिव्ह सलायवरी स्वॅब वरूनच मी सांगितलं की डायबिटीस आहे की नाही. ओके, आय हॅव कम अप विथ माय आयडिया दॅट देर इज सम मार्कर इन द सलायवा प्रेझेंट विच कॅन डायग्नोज डायबिटीस. एक्झाम्पल, हायपोथेटिकल एक्झाम्पल. Now to prove that it is effective, what I have to do? कसं प्रूव्ह करेल मी? काय काय लागेल मला? मला पहिले तर एक गोल्ड स्टँडर्ड लागेल, म्हणजे आता सध्या ब्लड शुगर लेवल आहे गोल्ड स्टँडर्ड, त्याच्या अगेन्स्ट मी माझी चेक करीन टेस्ट. मग मी प्रूव्ह करीन की ती व्हॅलिड आहे. आता डिस्कस केला आपण व्हॅलिडिटी, रिलायबिलिटी. व्हॅलिडिटी म्हणजे ऍक्युरसी, जे मेजर करायचंय तेच मेजर करणार. रिलायबिलिटी म्हणजे परत परत ते जे किती वेळा रिपीट केलं तरी तेच करणार. सो दॅट दोन्ही पाहिजे गोष्टी, व्हॅलिडिटी ऍज वेल एज रिलायबिलिटी. अजून काय पाहिजे एखाद्या टेस्ट मध्ये? कम्फर्ट पाहिजे पेशंटला. किती लोकांनी RT-PCR केले होते कोविडचे, त्याचे ते पूर्ण स्वाब घालून ब्रेनच्या आतमध्ये? It was so uncomfortable. Okay, so all these factors you have to go on checking, and then only you can call your diagnostic test as a new and novel method. So we'll see one by one about this diagnosis. Okay, तर याच्यामध्ये what is a diagnostic test? Is basically a test which will either refute or confirm the presence or absence of a disease. Okay. Why the diagnostic tests are done? Only for presence or absence of disease or something else? Severity. किती सिव्हिअरिटी आहे ते ट्रीटमेंट बदलेल. माइल्ड डायबिटीस आहे, सिव्हिअर डायबिटीस आहे तर इन्सुलिन लागेल. माइल्ड असेल तर तुम्हाला ओरल हायपोग्लायसेमिक एजंट, जर प्री डायबेटिक असेल तर लाईफस्टाईल मॉडिफिकेशन्स लागतील. सो प्रेझेन्स और ऍब्सेन्स ऑफ द डिसीज, सिव्हिअरिटी ऑफ द डिसीज, अजून काही प्रोग्नोसिस की पुढे काय आहे याचं पिक्चर है ना. सपोज प्री डायबिटीस है, इट्स अ गुड प्रोग्नोसिस. सपोज इट इज सिव्हिअर डायबिटीस, इट हैज अ फेअर प्रोग्नोसिस. ओके, सो ऑल दीज आर द इम्पॉर्टंट. वी डिस्कस दिस ऍक्सेप्टेबिलिटी, रिलायबिलिटी. हे आठवतं तुम्हाला? हा पिक्चर पाहिलाय है ना. दिस इज अबाउट व्हॅलिडिटी अँड रिलायबिलिटी. व्हॉट इज दिस? Not reliable, not valid. What is this? तिथेच लागतोय वारंवार, पण तो बुलसाय नाहीये. सो नॉट व्हॅलिड बट रिलायबल. अँड व्हॉट इज दिस? रिलायबल अँड व्हॅलिड. सो ओके. आता या डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्टचे 2 कॉम्पोनंट आहेत. त्याला काय म्हणतो आपण? सेन्सिटिव्हिटी आणि स्पेसिफिसिटी. हे लक्ष देऊन आहे का? सेन्सिटिव्हिटी म्हणजे काय? काय सेन्सिटिव्हिटी म्हणजे काय? ट्रू पॉझिटिव्ह है ना? ट्रू पॉझिटिव्ह. लेट अस सी. ट्रू पॉझिटिव्ह म्हणजे काय? All those who have the disease. The test should be able to identify all those who have the disease. This is sensitivity. What is specificity? True negatives. म्हणजे the test should be able to identify those who do not have the disease. आता हे वन अँड द सेम नाही आहे का? तर नाहीये. हे वेगळं आहे. हे लक्षात ठेवा. आता आपण एक एक्झाम्पल घेऊ. सपोज COVID-19 इन्फेक्शन आहे. ठीक आहे. तुम्हाला हायली सेन्सिटिव्ह टेस्ट लागेल. का लागेल? बिकॉज यू कॅनॉट मिस अ सिंगल पर्सन. Why you can't miss? Because if you miss, it is risk to other 100 people. It will be carried on. No? Suppose it doesn't diagnose, it has low sensitivity, then it will skip people who are having the disease, and you don't want that. So you need a highly sensitive test for infections like COVID-19. On the other hand, you know HIV/AIDS, ELISA test, let us say for example, highly specific. सबको अगर लेबल कर दिया HIV/AIDS, what will happen? It is a big social taboo. Patient always will go into mental shock. You need it a very specific test कि जिसमें आपको 100% गारंटी हुए बगैर आप उसको लेबल नहीं कर सकते, because it is disease is such a critical disease. On the other hand, suppose she doesn't have COVID and I label her that she is positive, ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? 15 दिन आइसोलेशन में रहेगी. कुछ नुकसान तो नहीं हुआ ना उसका. बट ऑन द अदर हैंड दूसरे डिसीज का लेबल किया तो क्या हो जाएगा? ठीक है. यू अंडरस्टैंड नाउ द डिफरेंस बिटवीन सेंसिटिविटी एंड स्पेसिफिसिटी. दीज आर 2 डिफरेंट थिंग्स. ठीक है. अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now see this 2x2 table. You have developed a new test and you have a disease which is diagnosed by gold standard test. Let us say it is diabetes. Okay. So diabetes as per HbA1c, let us say as per HbA1c disease is diagnosed. And you have a new test. Let us say salivary marker. कोई भी एक. ये नया है, ये gold standard. तो ये टेबल बनेगा कि एज पर द गिवन गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड डिसीज इज आइदर प्रेजेंट और डिसीज इज एब्सेंट, एंड एज पर द न्यू टेस्ट डिसीज इज आइदर पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव. ओके. सो नाउ व्हाट इज दिस? ट्रू पॉजिटिव. व्हाट इज दिस? फॉल्स नेगेटिव. ट्रू नेगेटिव, फॉल्स पॉजिटिव. ऐसा 2x2 टेबल बनेल. अंडरस्टूड? सो डिसीज प्रेझेंट आहे, तुम्ही त्याला बरोबर प्रेझेंट आयडेंटिफाय केलं, इट इज ट्रू पॉझिटिव्ह. डिसीज प्रेझेंट आहे पण तुमची टेस्ट म्हणते नेगेटिव्ह आहे, म्हणजे ते फॉल्स नेगेटिव्ह आहेत. बरोबर आहे. सिमिलरली डिसीज ऍबसेंट आहे, तुम्ही त्याला पॉझिटिव्ह बोलताय, दॅट इज फॉल्स पॉझिटिव्ह. डिसीज ऍबसेंट आहे तुम्ही पण त्याला ऍबसेंटच म्हणताय, सो दिस इज ट्रू नेगेटिव्ह. सो असं हे 1 2 3 4 व्हॅल्यूज भेटतील तुम्हाला. ओके. आता याच्यावर आपली एक्सरसाइज आहे, एंड मध्ये आपण करू. सो दिस इज अबाउट सेन्सिटिव्हिटी, स्पेसिफिसिटी. 2 व्हॅल्यू समजल्या. आता नवीन 2 व्हॅल्यू लक्षात ठेवायच्या आहे. पॉझिटिव्ह प्रेडिक्टिव्ह व्हॅल्यू अँड निगेटिव्ह प्रेडिक्टिव्ह व्हॅल्यू. व्हॉट इज इट? यू विल सी. नाउ द प्रेडिक्टिव्ह व्हॅल्यू रिफ्लेक्ट्स द पॉवर ऑफ युअर डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट and it depends upon the sensitivity, specificity and disease prevalence. A high positive predictive value indicates a strong chance that a person with positive test has a disease, and a high negative predictive value means that negative test in effect rules out the disease. Okay. Now coming to this key point. This you have to remember. A highly sensitive test rules out the disease, and a highly specific test rules in the disease. Okay? If your test is highly sensitive and it is negative, that means you are absolutely less likely to have the disease. But if it is a highly specific test and it has come positive, that means you are very likely to have the disease. Understood? So HIV/AIDS and COVID. So what do you need a highly sensitive test for? You need a highly sensitive test for screening purpose. A large population screening साठी sensitive test पाहिजे. But confirmation साठी तुम्हाला specific test पाहिजे. Understood? There are two different requirements. Screening of a larger population, you choose a sensitive test, and for confirmation, you use specificity. Now we will see something called as receiver operator characteristic or ROC curve. What is a ROC curve is, you can see this is a sensitivity. It is plotted. Understand that suppose I have told you that HbA1c value of 6.5 goes into diabetes. This is the cutoff decided by some organization. And tomorrow I tell you, in our Asian population, the cutoff is 7. 0.5 चा difference आहे. त्याच्याने लाखो लोक नॉन डायबेटिक मध्ये जातील. कळलं का? त्या कट ऑफ वर डिपेंड करतं भरपूर लोकांचं लाईफ, त्यांची ट्रीटमेंट. तो कट ऑफ कोण डिसाइड करतो? तो कट ऑफ असा डिसाइड होतो की तुम्ही ट्रू पॉझिटिव्ह सेन्सिटिव्हिटी या ऍक्सिस वर, वाय ऍक्सिस वर प्लॉट करायची, एक्स ऍक्सिस वर 1- स्पेसिफिसिटी प्लॉट करायची, दॅट इज फॉल्स पॉझिटिव्ह रेट, and then you go on your test, pointing your test result. So a perfect test will have a curve like this. If the curve comes like this, it is a useless test. Okay? Now we'll see examples. This is what I was talking about, that there is a threshold of a cutoff. The moment you change the threshold, the population will either have the disease or won't have the disease. So you are having that responsibility of deciding the cutoff, and that cutoff is decided by ROC curve. This is area under the ROC curve. Again, sensitivity 1 - specificity. What is this value? This is the value of your test. Suppose my HbA1c value, let us example 5.1, 5.2 cutoff घेतला तर 5.3 cutoff घेतला तर 5.4 असं हे प्लॉट होईल. इकडे मी तुम्हाला व्हॅल्यूज दाखवलं तर टेबल मध्ये 2x2 टेबल होता, अकॉर्डिंग टू डिसीज गोल्ड स्टँडर्ड अँड अकॉर्डिंग टू न्यू टेस्ट. बरोबर आहे ना? अकॉर्डिंग टू गोल्ड स्टँडर्ड त्याला डिसीज आहे नाही आहे, टेस्ट आहे नाही आहे, त्या व्हॅल्यूज अशा प्लॉट झाल्या आहेत. ठीक आहे? सो नाउ यू कॅन सी हिअर, है ना, comparison of different tests. PCT, this is going above, then CRP values मध्ये, आणि WCC, white blood cell counts, एकदम diagonal. So this is not useful, this is second best and this is the best. The best test will have more area under the ROC curve. Just see ROC curve for CK values in myocardial infarction. This is the ideal curve. Okay, now have you understood what is ROC? It is a receiver operating characteristic curve. It is plotted on the y-axis sensitivity value, on the x-axis it is 1 - specificity values. Plot the graph for different cutoffs, and then you see, now the moment you increase the sensitivity, the specificity comes down. The moment you increase specificity, the sensitivity comes down. You will be deciding which one you want. How? Depending upon the use of the test, whether you want the screening or you want confirmation. Understood? Any questions? थोडं डिफिकल्ट आहे समजायला, पण आपण काय काय शिकलो? डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट काय आहे, सेन्सिटिव्हिटी म्हणजे काय, काय आहे सेन्सिटिव्हिटी म्हणजे? सेन्सिटिव्हिटी म्हणजे ट्रू पॉझिटिव्ह. Specificity म्हणजे true negatives. Specificity is important for confirmation and sensitivity for screening. And if the disease is having very serious implications, then you go for specificity. If the disease is having a general large population screening objective, go for the sensitivity. What is receiver operating curve? It is a curve that you get after specificity values for different cutoffs. More the area under the curve, ideal is your test. Okay. Now up to here you have understood? Any doubts? मी सगळ्यांच्या चेहऱ्यावर असं आहे की आम्ही कधीही डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट डेव्हलप नाही करणार आहे. प्लीज पार्डन अस. वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू डेव्हलप एनी डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट. बट आय नो anything you want to ask till now, or there is one more that we want to discuss here. Now this is the kappa statistics I was talking about. Okay, थोडक्यात आपण बघून घेऊ. What is a kappa statistics? Okay. Now this also comes in the diagnostic test as well as questionnaire designing. Okay. So kappa statistic is for inter-rater agreements. Inter-rater agreements, and this kappa statistics is 0.7 and up, it is excellent, and 0.4 to 0.7 it is moderate, and less than 0.4 it is a poor agreement. So you have to calculate kappa statistics also for the test in certain cases. Okay, now these are some examples. Okay, and values. खूप इझिली मी सांगते, बाकीचे तर राहू द्या, पण आपण सेन्सिटिव्हिटी स्पेसिफिसिटी पाहून घेऊ कशी कॅल्क्युलेट होते. ठीक आहे. हा आहे डिसीज ऍज पर गोल्ड स्टँडर्ड. डिसीज पॉझिटिव्ह किंवा निगेटिव्ह ऍज पर द गोल्ड स्टँडर्ड टेस्ट. न्यू टेस्ट पॉझिटिव्ह निगेटिव्ह. ठीक आहे. आता हे जे ए आहेत नंबर, हे म्हणजे कोण आहेत जे पॉझिटिव्ह आहेत आणि दोन्ही बाजूनी पॉझिटिव्ह आहे. बी म्हणजे जे फॉल्स पॉझिटिव्ह आहे. सी म्हणजे जे फॉल्स निगेटिव्ह आहेत आणि डी म्हणजे ट्रू निगेटिव्ह आहे. ठीक आहे. हे ए बी सी आणि डी. ठीक आहे. तो सेन्सिटिव्हिटीचा फॉर्म्युला काय आहे? ए अपॉन ए प्लस सी इज युअर सेन्सिटिव्हिटी. स्पेसिफिसिटी इज व्हॉट? डी अपॉन बी प्लस डी इज युअर स्पेसिफिसिटी. ठीक आहे. दिस इज हाऊ यू कॅल्क्युलेट द व्हॅल्यूज. ओके. The positive predictive value, we discussed that, and negative predictive value, this also we discussed. So the formulae are given: a upon a plus b, d upon c plus d. So all formulae are given in this particular chart. Now there is something called as likelihood ratio, that also is given in a formula, likelihood ratio as well as positive and negative likelihood ratio. ठीक है. सगळे फॉर्म्युला याच्यामध्ये. The moment you have these values, 4 values, you can calculate everything. Now this is the example. Now how is the example? की आहे gold standard PCR आणि ELISA आहे नवीन टेस्ट. फॉर एक्झाम्पल 990 people are positive, 10 people are negative. ठीक आहे. इथे व्हॅल्यूज इन्सर्ट केलेले आहेत. तुमच्याजवळ सगळे फॉर्म्युले आहेत. To do is substitute the values and calculate. Okay, understood? So this is how you calculate. You can calculate everything. So I will leave this particular PPT here. I will leave this PowerPoint presentation with madam, and you can go and calculate and get your concepts more clear. But for now, have you understood? ओके. असं एकदमच एलियन टॉपिक नाही वाटत आहे ना की काय आहे डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट. ओव्हरऑल माहिती आहे. क्वेश्चनर डिझायनिंग दोन्ही टॉपिक. काही क्वेश्चन्स आहेत? थँक्यू सो मच. सरांना बोल.
Thank you so much for the wonderful. Once again, a big round of applause for ma'am.
Do anyone have some queries or questions for the ma'am? No, I'll have to go. Shrikant?